Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're diving into what could be one of the most explosive debates in recent British political history. Boris Johnson is back in the spotlight, and this time he's firing shots straight at Labour's policies. From immigration to the green agenda, from farming laws to personal freedoms, Johnson has made it clear. He believes Labour's vision could lead Britain down a dark and dangerous path. Are Labour's policies as authoritarian as Johnson claims? And is their economic agenda truly a tax trap for everyday Brits? Join us as we break down each point Johnson made, and believe me, there's a lot to uncover. But before we jump into the thick of things, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss out as we continue unraveling the truth behind Britain's most controversial political moves. Now let's dive in. Boris Johnson has always been vocal about immigration, but his latest attack on Labour's scrapping of the Rwanda migration policy reveals just how high the stakes are in this ongoing political feud. He didn't mince words when he called Labour's decision to end the Rwanda policy ridiculous. According to Johnson, the policy was more than just an immigration measure. It was a powerful deterrent aimed at showing illegal migrants that the UK would no longer be a soft target. Labour, however, has presented its own approach, shifting focus away from Rwanda and suggesting an agreement with Albania instead. Johnson's response? What's the difference between Albania and Rwanda? His disbelief is palpable, and he raises a point that has left many British citizens scratching their heads. Albania, he argues, is no more capable than Rwanda in handling the volume of migrants expected. So why the switch? As Johnson sees it, Labour's new approach could open up the floodgates, leading to an increase in illegal immigration. He's painted a picture of a future where the UK, under Labour's rule, could face a growing crisis as illegal migrants take advantage of a system that, according to him, no longer has the backbone to enforce tough policies. And with European countries like Italy and the Netherlands considering similar migration policies, Johnson warns that Labour is isolating Britain at a critical time. Moving to Labour's ambitious green agenda, Johnson didn't hold back, calling their plan to ban gas boilers in new homes by 2027 nasty and authoritarian. According to Labour, the switch to electric heat pumps and other renewable options is a necessary move to combat climate change. But Johnson argues that this policy, while environmentally driven, completely ignores the economic realities facing millions of British families. The cost of installing a heat pump is vastly higher than a traditional gas boiler, and maintenance expenses can quickly add up. In Johnson's eyes, Labour is forcing an expensive and impractical solution on the British public without fully considering how families will bear the financial burden. Labour's aggressive timeline only adds to his concerns. While they insist that a swift transition is crucial for the environment, Johnson warns that rushing this change could backfire, leaving countless homes unprepared and underheated in the coldest months of the year. Johnson's critique goes deeper, pointing to potential strain on the national grid. Britain's electrical infrastructure, he claims, isn't ready to handle the increased demand that would come from widespread heat pump installation. By enforcing such a policy without ensuring grid resilience, Johnson argues that Labour is setting up the country for possible blackouts, leaving millions vulnerable. Labour has defended its stance, emphasizing that climate action can't wait. But Johnson's warning is stark. Britain, he insists, needs a realistic approach, not a radical agenda that risks plunging the nation into economic and logistical chaos. The term authoritarian isn't one Johnson uses lightly, yet he hasn't hesitated to label Labour's approach to governance as such. The gas boiler ban is one example, but Johnson points out that Labour's influence extends much further, particularly in the agricultural sector. Their proposed inheritance tax on farms valued over $1 million, he argues, is a direct attack on family-run farms. To Johnson, Labour's inheritance tax policy is a move that will make it nearly impossible for small, family-owned farms to survive. Faced with the choice between paying exorbitant taxes or selling their land, many farming families could find themselves backed into a corner, forced to give up land that's been in their family for generations. Johnson warns that this isn't just an economic issue, it's a cultural one, threatening the fabric of Britain's rural communities. Labour, of course, argues that this tax policy is meant to target only the wealthiest landowners. Yet Johnson suggests that the threshold is low enough that even modestly successful farms will be hit. The impact, he insists, will be devastating, not just for the farmers themselves, but for the communities and local economies that rely on British agriculture. And it's not just farming. Johnson also highlights Labour's stance on free speech. He claims that Labour's policies increasingly create an environment where dissent is discouraged, and he warns that if left unchecked, this could stifle the very foundation of British democracy. In an ever-evolving world, foreign relations are paramount. Johnson contends that Labour's policies put Britain's standing on the global stage at risk. Labour's focus on aligning more closely with European partners, he warns, could create friction with key allies like the United States, especially in the context of trade and security. With economic policies that prioritize European ties, Johnson argues that Labour may neglect opportunities for growth with other nations. Brexit was meant to open doors to new alliances, but Johnson claims Labour's approach could lead to Britain becoming overly dependent on European markets, leaving it vulnerable in times of economic strain. Labour's recent tax initiatives, especially around inheritance tax, have also drawn Johnson's ire. He claims that by imposing heavy taxes on estates, Labour is not only discouraging business growth, but also driving wealth out of the country. Johnson insists that instead of promoting a competitive economy, Labour's policies could create a hostile environment where businesses feel pressured to move operations abroad, ultimately harming the UK's economy. Johnson's critiques aren't just political, they're personal. As a former prime minister, he has seen the challenges and sacrifices that come with leadership. His experiences, he claims, give him a unique perspective on the dangers of Labour's policies. He warns that the decisions made today could shape Britain's future for generations to come, and he's calling on the British people to recognize what's at stake. He recalls moments during his own tenure when he had to make tough decisions, balancing national interests with global pressures. Now, looking at Labour's policies, he fears the country could be heading down a path that sacrifices too much for too little gain. So, what does the future hold? As Johnson sees it, Labour's policies could change the face of Britain, transforming it into a nation where personal freedoms are restricted, economic growth is stifled, and national sovereignty is undermined. The stakes have never been higher. And as we watch this political drama unfold, one question remains. Will the British people take a stand before it's too late? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more in-depth breakdowns on the latest political developments. This is Untold British News signing off. What you think about it? Please share your opinions in comment below and subscribe for more British and international news. Thanks for watching. Take care and goodbye. We'll see you in the next video.